There are lots of people in this stock with AMC. Lots of people, especially those who are not that experienced in owning stocks or investing into the stock market. And because of that, they might be freaking out. They might be sitting on 50%, 40%, 30%, no matter how your paper loss, because so far, if you haven't sold yet, it is still a paper loss. All right. For those of you, or even people who are wondering, is this even gonna go back to 50 or 70, as I saw multiple times on social media and in the comments on some of my videos on YouTube? I just want to tell you something that I see from my personal experience in the market so far. All right. And it's very simple, very, down to earth. Everything that goes down will ultimately go up. Let me say it one more time. Everything that goes down must ultimately go up. All right. Let me take you a few examples, because sometimes when people get tired of holding, people get tired of seeing the chart or the price not reflected by the supply and the demand. People are tired of not actually seeing the moon getting closer and closer. All right. Because it doesn't happen that way. All right. This is real life. This is not Sesame Street. So AMC hit the highest of 62, but we know that pre-market, it went all the way to 77. All right. Now, because it went back down, now the trend or the chart, it's setting up a new base. And that base, have you seen since the last, 3 to 4 weeks, it's now settled around the 30, between the 30 and the 40, meaning the lows were around the 36, 34, and then the highs were around the 43 before we pulled back from the 50s. But when I'm saying everything that goes down will ultimately go up, let me share with you a few examples, because with AMC, it means not only I'm pretty confident that this is going to go back to 72, but it's going to ultimately breach that 72 and reach new highs. But when it does reach those new highs, it's pretty much a territory where it's going to trigger lots of bad consequences for the short sellers, because at that point, it's going to be automatic margin calls hitting, and they will have to liquidate. It's just going to be as simple as that. Now, how long will that take? Nobody knows, because when you look at few major companies from different sectors, all right, including the market itself. Look, Tesla stock. Tesla had a huge run up in the pandemic, all right? Before the pandemic, it had a huge run up from 50s in 2019, late 2019, all the way up to 180 in February before the pandemic hit. It went all the way down to 85. But since then, it had jumped almost 700%. Look, 700% before pulling back again. All right, in the 500s, and it's sold off pretty good, from that point forward. And since then, boom, it reaches a new all-time high, catapulting the company to $1 trillion company. There are many people that didn't even bet that Tesla will hit past 500 as price target. Now, this is the EV sector or the technology sector or the growth sector, all right? So this is technology. Let's go back to oil. We all consume oil. We all pump up gas into our cars. Now, look, this is 5 years ago. Before the pandemic, this was 25, all right? Boom, it went all the way down to $6. It went back, pulled back a little bit, but since then, it continued to run. And every time it's hitting a new all-time high, a new high for the year, all right? But so far, this is in track to hit the 44 and even the 50s. But look, the 50s happened back in 2017, all right? So it went down, went back up, but when it did reach the up, it was even higher up than previously. Now, let's move into retail sector. This is the retail sector, Dick's Sporting Goods. We all know Dick's Sporting Goods here in the US. Before the pandemic, $44. All right, this is January 2020. Pandemic hit, boom, went all the way down to $16. But since then, it had, man, this is not even a run. This is flying. This is going to the moon. And so far, we are sitting on what? 640% higher. Who would have imagined that even after the pandemic, this stock could have jumped 5x the price it was sitting before the pandemic? Nobody. So let me finally take the market just to show you that it's not even individual stocks. The market itself was going, higher and higher, making pullbacks, higher and higher, making pullbacks. But 2020 was like, a never seen before. So even before the pandemic, I'm taking the S&P 500, boom, we dropped to 30%, 31%. But since then, even though we had pulled back here and there due to, COVID, and then the vaccine came, and then we had restrictions, and then, people get vaccinated, and then we had COVID, the Delta variant again. But since then, even after some pullbacks, recently with inflation and everything, it continues to go further and higher. So it's going to be the exact same thing with AMC. The only question is, from this point forward, nobody knows when that time is going to come for the new high to actually take place, to actually show itself. Hopefully that new high can bring us to the end game where, it's game over, we collect the gains and we move forward. But just to say, if you are new to this game, or if you are freaking out, or if you are doubting, or you're stressing about, this never going back to the highs or even squeezing, guys, I hope I showed you through these few examples that, hey, there is something actually pretty damn good happening here. And I'm seeing after hours, we are already up to 2.8%, which is pretty good. So seems like the trend it's confirming as we're getting closer to earnings. So I'm going to see you in the next one.